Overton again runs in and bowls, and again he bowls short. That's a bit of a hack from Pujara, but he's pulled it for 4. And his 50 comes up, and that for him, well, I suspect it's worth 150 at the moment, because he's really struggled. And it's nice to see Virat Kohli there, doing more than just a little tap of the gloves, but a really vigorous shake of the hand, slaps on the back and everything else, because he really has had a bit of a crisis. Well, good morning everyone, welcome to Headingley for the 4th day of this 3rd test match. England against India, of course. It's a beautiful day, it really is. All that low cloud that hung over the ground like a duvet yesterday is gone. We've got blue skies, we've got sunshine, you've got the crowd coming in, and all the anticipation, of course, of this game of cricket, which is pretty well set up. You have to say that England are still very much favourites to win it, but after India's day yesterday, with Pujara moving on from that half-century, you heard there, up to 91 not out, and Virat Kohli 45, well, India are still, well, within striking distance, anyway, of making England bat again. They're still 139 runs behind, and that's a long way to go, and to build onto that, to put England under pressure. However, they are in that position. From England's perspective, the new ball is ready and it's good to go, and they can have it immediately. As you heard Alison describing there was the opportunity last night. It was too dark, and so off they came. But this morning, if everyone's fit and firing, we're hearing 1 or 2 rumours up here of maybe 1 or 2 injuries in the camp, or certainly 1 or 2 injury concerns in the camp. Amongst a couple of the bowlers, I heard Anderson and Robinson's names mentioned. Well, we'll have to wait and see, obviously, about that. So maybe the physios are working hard, getting them strapped up or whatever has to be done in order for them to take the new ball, because without those 2, then resources obviously were very slender for trying to bowl out this Indian team. So we'll wait and see on that front. So the weather at the moment, lovely. We've got the players packing up their equipment over there from having warmed up. Behind them, coming there in the West Stand, comes streaming all sorts of, look at that, all sorts of fancy dressed men, women, boys and girls, and goodness knows what else, frankly, in there. It's hard to tell. But they're coming and sit in the sunshine. I've got Vic Marks alongside me, and Deep as well. Good to see you. Good morning, everybody. Well, let's start with you. Grab your microphone. You grabbed your microphone. I'm not going to mention the fact you came in a very black suit today, as if you were possibly expecting a funeral. But what do you think of India's prospects here, of batting out the day?
Yeah, good morning to both of you and to everyone else. Well, you mentioned about fancy dress, so that was my fancy dress.
It's very good.
It's come as an undertaking.
It's very good plan, Deep. Well done. You're catching on quickly.
Right, I mean, as far as India's chances are concerned, listen, I still think India's fair bit behind in this game. 139 is still a lot of runs behind. But as cliched as I may sound, the first hour with that new ball, second new ball, is going to be extremely crucial if India can manage to get past that first hour and a half. And as you mentioned, it's nice and bright and sunny and warm. The surface, the pitch itself is very good for batting, still very good to bat on. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes after the first hour.
We certainly will. You said it's bright and sunny, and it is. And I'm delighted to welcome our old friend Thomas Schaffernacker, who I think it's the first time we've spoken this year.
I know.
From the Weather Centre. How are you doing?
Time flies. I'm doing really, really well.
The last time I saw you on telly, you had a huge mane of hair and everything else. Is it gone? Have you still got it?
It's gone. It's gone. For the autumn, I wanted something different.
Well, it's great to have you back with us. And I think you've probably got some good news for us, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Do you know, us weather forecasters have been able to put our feet up a little bit in the last week or so, really. High pressure over the UK. The weather's been settled and dry. It's great across the north of the country today. In fact, that's the best place to be. And in Headingley, I think it's a case of sunny skies all through the course of the afternoon. So there are no showers to worry about. Nothing's lurking on the horizon. And it's lovely and warm as well. And do you know what? That is about as much as I can tell you.
What about tomorrow, Thomas? I might press you for tomorrow, just in case.
Yeah. Well, the high pressure's not going away anywhere, and I think tomorrow's good. Tomorrow, the only thing I would say is that the cloud might be a little bit thicker, but we'll see. We'll see. I can't tell you exactly how thick.
Lovely to talk to you again, Thomas. Look after yourself.
You too.
There we go. And good news as well. So, however, not great news perhaps for England's bowlers with this new ball. Victor, they'd have liked yesterday's weather.
Yeah. There was, as you wonderfully described, a duvet of cloud, but it didn't seem to help the seam bowlers much. We've always got used to the notion of, you don't look up, or don't look down at Headingley, you look up, and if the clouds are there, it's going to zip around. Well, that didn't seem to happen. England weren't quite at their best, perhaps, but So there are all sorts of possibilities. And up here, we're allowed to speculate, well, what if they get 300 today? We've got 160-odd lead. What a finish that could be. Actually, if you're playing this game, that's a terrible trap to think about the long term. You just got to think about the next ball, whether you're batting or bowling. I mean, England will be... you could get very fretful, but all they've got to do is make sure they get that next delivery bang on target, put the pressure on. Likewise with the batsmen, if you start thinking in terms of, if we could get another 250, we're right back in. It doesn't work like that. You've just got to think about that next ball, that next over, and let the pressure build.
One of the names I mentioned as being a possible injury worry, Ollie Robertson, is out there now, and he looks like he's ready for business. So let's hope that is merely some sort of rumour mongering. But he's out there. He's got one of the bowling coaches there with a mitt. Actually, it might be Paul Collingwood, actually. And so he's heading off. He's going to go and bowl over on the side there, on those practice pitches maybe. So at least he's ready for action at any rate. So he should be okay. And similarly, England. I mean, England mustn't go searching too much either.
No. It's, almost ignore the scoreboard is the way for the players to go. Up here, we're allowed to speculate as much as we like, but it's not good for the players to do that in this situation.
And looking at that 139, so that is mid-afternoon, isn't it? Heading towards tea, being realistically, even when they just creep into the lead, and there'll be another new ball if they need it later on. Today as well. So, I mean, from England's perspective, we've got all this time in the bank. I'm saying they shouldn't be stressed either, is what I'm saying. You're talking about India not thinking too far ahead. Well, England's got to go out there and just bowl. Yeah,
absolutely. And, you can get into a terrible tangle if you start thinking, well, what if we don't get a wicket in the first hour?
Exactly.
And get doom-laden. The other factor, of course, is this is Headingley. And stuff happens at Headingley. Amazing things happen.
On sunny days like this. I can see Jimmy Anderson too, down below us here. He's got a medicine ball.
Well, they've got to wheel him out. I mean, they'd have to have broken legs, because England have got to win this game, having had that massive first innings lead. If they don't win this game, then that's a huge punch in the solar plexus. So, they can't be too much of mollycoddling of little niggles. They've got to play through it here, and if they've got to play a different attack in the next match, they've got scope to do that.
We were talking last night, weren't we, Deep, about sort of England's mentality, really, and the fact that they haven't been winning matches, they've been losing matches, and therefore maybe there just could be that bit of anxiety today, because they do have this game for the taking, but they've got to do it, and so it might just be because of where they are at the moment and their confidence isn't very high that they've got to be careful. Actually, again, they do take this very measured approach.
Absolutely. I think it's one of those days where you have to be patient, whether you're a batter or a bowler. You just have to be patient, because for bowling as well, there is fair bit there still. Whether it's the environment or the pitch or whatever, but it's not enough that you're going to come, get your arm over and pick wickets. So you've got to be very, very patient. Same with batting as well. You've got to be extremely patient. You can't get ahead of yourself if you're in that Indian camp. And just wait and see how this game unfolds and this day unfolds.
So watching Robinson there, now, I mean, you do have bowlers bowling warm-ups, obviously, but you don't often see a bowler off his long run bowling at this stage with the umpires about to come out on the side of the field, and I'm just wondering if that is really trying to warm up a possible niggle or an injury,
or maybe he wants to be 100% when he gets that first ball. I mean, when he's bowling the first ball with the second new ball, so he wants to be absolutely 100%.
Interesting to see which one it is, but you don't often see them because they have huddles and stuff. And so anyway, we'll just keep an eye on what's happening over there. Anderson, meantime, he's just going through his action down here. The more sort of loosening up that you'd expect to see of a bowler at this time is actually warming up there with a new ball, which is that's something about that modern game, isn't it, Victor? I reckon we were given one new ball in the nets about once a season, because we never practiced with the new ball. Did you ever? You wouldn't because you're a spinner, but it was one of the more bizarre things of our generation.
Especially at Leicester and Mike Turner. I mean, new balls cost a lot of money,
but you never got to practice bowling with a new ball, which is bizarre, isn't it? Because you think you're going out there, it's when you're most potent, supposedly, but you only ever bowl with a new ball in a match. Does that sound crazy to think back to that?
It actually does sound crazy, but now you have balls like of different overs, ball like 20 overs old, or balls which are reversing and stuff like that. You have all that in your box of balls.
We got given a ball at the start of every season. It's like a crock of gold given to us by Ken Higgs, who was our coach. And he had obviously spent all winter with his little box of balls, with 6 of them. And he'd been doctoring them, basically. And he'd just hand you this ball. He's like, here you are, kid. And it's like very precious. And the seam was so sharp, you'd almost cut your fingers on it. Because he spent all winter, Higgy sitting in his armchair at home watching Coronation Street or something, picking this seam and spraying wood polish on the ball. Well, and that was it. That was your ball for the season.
And that was a big job for the coaches to look after the balls, which is why, of course, Ian down at Taunton, where there's a river just behind one of the stands, took great pleasure in just smashing the balls into the river and driving the coach absolutely mad.
You also hire a frogman to get down there and fish them out. Now, well, Robinson's finished that warm-up over there, and he's having a chat with Anderson below us here, who's wrapping an arm round his shoulder. And,
well, I mean, it's nothing. You know better than I what it's like to have to bowl when you are when you know you're not quite right. And it's quite not only just a physical leap you have to make, but a mental one, I imagine.
Absolutely, and it hurts.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We will see, and we don't know what the injury is, but I think looking down there at least, it seems that Anderson is okay, and he's just ready to go now. But Robinson has now gone off again, so we'll keep an eye on that. But that seemed a bit like a fitness test to me, if I'm honest, over there. But we shall see. Jerusalem's ringing out across the ground, which is filling up. There's a big Indian flag over there on the west stand there. That'll encourage Virat Kohli and Jadeshwar Pujara, who really played well yesterday. Yeah. We've talked about the contrasts of between the last 2 tests, of which there are many, in both teams. But certainly Pujara's batting yesterday got away to a start. He clipped away those 3 boundaries through the leg side when he first came in, and away he went. And that was what he needed. Jimmy Anderson's doing some press-ups now, so he's all right. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. Quite impressive press-ups too. I don't think you could do these, Victor. It's when he extends his arms, he's bringing a leg up as well.
Well, he's showing off. He's clearly showing off.
He is showing off, but that's quite impressive. So he looks fine. The umpires are on their way, and it didn't take Thomas Schaffernacker to tell us that the sun is shining. It's a glorious day, and this new ball is very important indeed. I mean, looking at it, you wouldn't think that the ball would swing around, but you just never know here. No, the batsmen are on their way before the fielders, which always looks like a very positive sign to me. But they do come from different parts of this stand that we are sitting in as well. Up on the 5th floor we are, so we're towering right down over the players who are gathering below us. Joe Root there calling his players together. I don't see Jarvo down there. Not sure whatever happened to Jarvo. He was led away yesterday. The only thing that was wrong with that performance when he appeared from far was he didn't walk off calmly with his bat raised, but he was sort of manhandled off by stewards, which was a disappointing way to go. But anyway, they're still waiting for 1 or 2 to come by the look of it down there. The players are the batsmen are in the middle, the umpires are in the middle. And finally, England get into our huddle, still off the field of play, below us here. And a brief word there from Joe Root, who's now running out. And let's make sure everyone's there. Overton, I can see. Anderson's skipping out. Robinson's there. He's got a sweater on. And he's coming down to fine leg at this end. Hamid, the last to go, scurrying out. And play will begin shortly enough. But Root there calling his players together. It was only a brief 10-second conversation, or it may be words of encouragement, or just focusing the mind, or whatever it may be that they do in their huddles, which again were you a huddler, Deep? I can't remember. Were you being just pre-huddles?
Yes, we did. I mean, that's when it's all started. I mean, when I played. But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea. Just a quick reminder. You have a few keywords like whatever, could be patience, for example, today or whatever. Yeah. Just a last moment reminder for everyone. What's the plan like for the session?
It was my county that started it. James Whittaker, when he was captain, I'd gone. He was the first huddler in the mid-90s, wasn't it? When they won the championship. Yeah. All because obviously they had a huddle, so everyone did it from then on. That's where it began.
Because when I led my first class side, I believed in that. I just would let everyone out, and before we go out, just a quick word, a quick reminder. and off we go.
So Anderson is going to bowl with the new ball from the far end. Thank you, Deep. We'll catch up with you later. 3 slips and a fine gully there is, and then Hamid's at backward point. Big gap there in the covers. Moeen's at mid-off. There's a mid-on, mid-wicket, and Robinson down to our left here is at long leg. So the first ball of the 4th day. Kohli's on strike. He's on 45. And Anderson comes in and bowls the first ball, which swings away from him, and Kohli allows that to go by. And he left the ball really well yesterday, and it was interesting looking at all these blibs and blobs you see on TV screens these days. But not only how well Kohli had left the ball, but actually how beautifully England had bowled at him, because virtually everything was just around that off stump and just outside. And he really did knuckle down and leave as much as he possibly could. Whereas in the previous innings, he's been slightly lured into playing outside the off stump at wider balls. Anderson bowls to him, and again he lets it go. So it goes through to Jos Buttler. 215 for 2. Kohli 45. Pujara 91. Up at the far end. Trumpeter here again. So it doesn't sound very in sync again, all of that. If they're not going to be in sync at 11 o'clock, who knows what they're going to be like at 6:30.
Well,
215 for 2. The shadow creeping on from the emerald stand at the far end, but it's a beautiful day. And Anderson runs towards us and bowls again wider, but it is outside the off stump, and Kohli can ignore it and let it go through again. Bank holiday weekend, isn't it? So lots of people in cars travelling around, I suppose. So hope you're tuning our way, driving carefully, taking your time and so on. So if it's set like this, it'll be a wonderful weekend. I think this is the weekend that Alistair Cook's spending in a tent in his garden with his children, I think. So that's he's got the weather for that.
I thought he was getting ready to play in a championship.
Well, it's his new preparation.
Oh, right.
Anderson, shadow to his right, moves in, bowls to Kohli. Very late decision there, a little flicky leave, taking the bat out of the way absolutely at the last second.
Well, they're in good voice very early on.
See, well, that moved, you know. Looking at the replay, it really nipped.
Moved off pitch or a bit of swing, do you think?
Brilliant leave.
Yeah. Well, he'll give him, at some point, he'll give him the one coming into the right-hander just to try and make him start playing.
Yeah. Slips are waiting. There were some edges yesterday, but apart from one that Bairstow took, it was a brilliant catch. The others didn't carry. Anderson again bowls to Kohli. Again, just that line that he's leaving it so well, and a bowler of less experience of Anderson might get a little bit frustrated. He'll be saying, I've got to make him play, But I think it'll worry Anderson too much at the moment, because that line is so good.
He's prepared to play the long game, Anderson, isn't he?
Yeah.
And who can argue with him after 629 test wickets?
Exactly. And there are batsmen who like to feel bat on ball too. So again, it's a battle between the two. A patience game. Anderson bowls, and Kohli does a straighter one this time, which he defends, plays into gully, and that's the end of the first over. Every ball bang on target. Very well negotiated by Kohli. And let's see what the form is with Ollie Robinson then. He's peeled his sweater off.
Yeah.
He's going to bowl. Let's see if that was a fitness test over there, or warming up some part of his body or other that isn't quite right. We shall see.
Nowadays, the umpires, of course, they don't take the sweater or the cap, so he's left his sweater and cap down there at long leg.
So many things you can pick up as a fast bowler injury-wise.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that really does affect almost every part of your body. So almost from the top of your toes, bottom, right up to your shoulders. I mean, it's just, and everywhere in between is under such stress when you're a fast bowler. Someone's moving here, so they're just going to wait for that. One announcement being made as well. Well, that's all about. And now he gets a whistle from for Robinson. Trying to catch some of his attention. I don't think it's Dickie Bird, who I saw again this morning.
All right.
He was talking to a lot of people outside the ground, and then I drove past him, and then inside the ground, between me parking the car, he was inside the ground talking to lots of people, holding court. Robinson's on his way. It's Pujara's first ball of the day. It's very full, swinging away. It's driven to cover and fielded by Moeen. And Robinson, well, he's not... sort of look for telltale signs. He's not sort of clutching any part of his body or pressing. Sometimes that's a way of telling if a fast bowler's got a bit of a strain. He'll put your thumb into where it is and you sort of feel around if it's in your side. But there's none of that. So maybe it was just a bit of scaremongering that was put out today.
It's still an issue.
There's more trouble down here, and umpire Kettleborough is saying, now come on, sit down. I'm not sure who it could be. It looks, is it possibly someone in the England camp here? I'm not sure what's going to, because they're on the balcony below us. Ollie Pope I can see sitting there. I don't think it's him. Robinson's on his way. Pujara waits for him. Is there any bowls? And that swings away a bit wide. Pujara can allow it to go on its way. But again, there is definitely that
hint of swing, isn't it? It's weird. On the first morning, when it was almost as clear as it is today, it swung around, and then it didn't really swing a great deal with cloud cover. What's going on?
215 for 2. Pujara on 91. Robinson wheels round, shadow to his right, long strides now, and he bowls to Pujara, who again allows that to swing away. It's collected by Buttler. That was a little bit closer to the off stump. It's a lovely length. It does bowl that full length. So for a tall man, trying to get the batsman onto the front foot. More arrivals in the West Stand there. A couple of stewards standing on duty, but of course being Saturday, you're never quite sure if they are stewards or if they're people in fancy dress come as stewards, which is possible. Robinson bowls. Oh my word! That was a leave, and very, very close to the off stump. I think that's actually too close to leave from Pujara's perspective. It didn't move away as much as he expected, but very, very tight to the off stump. There were lots of oohs and ahs and so on behind the wickets, trying to give Pujara the impression that went straight over his stumps. In fact, it just missed off. But he'll know. A little bit of a feeling there as it went past, thinking, oh, have I done the right thing? Waiting for the clatter of bails. So it didn't happen. 215 for 2, nothing added this morning. Robinson bowls to him down the leg side, is trying to get him to play. And as is almost always the case, as any old swing bowler will tell you, when he's trying to straighten up a little bit,
doesn't swing.
It doesn't swing, it goes down the leg side. I don't know why.
Often it goes for 4 too, so at least he was spared that, Robinson.
Absolutely. Very frustrating. Lots of people arriving, seeing on our screens here, quickly peeling off their bags and so on, settling down. Someone's got a very smart stripy hat on there, I can see. 215 for 2. Robinson over the wicket, bowls, and again he's back to plan A there, outside the off stump, and Pujara lets it go. So I think so far 12 balls. I think actually bat on ball is 1. Is that about right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a cagey start from both sides. England, I'm sure they will have said something along the lines of, let's be disciplined like we were in the first innings, be patient, no free runs for them. Likewise, I'm sure Kohli and Pujara, who've played so much cricket, will know that they can get through the new ball without losing a wicket. India suddenly are right back in this game, and they're taking no risk whatsoever outside the off stump. But it's a tight margin. They leave the ball well. It's not as if they were very wide, those deliveries, but just wide enough to let them go.
Anderson comes in towards us, bowls to Kohli. Again, he lets it go. New Barmy Army trumpeter enjoying his first Headingley Saturday. He's going through his full repertoire at the moment down there, and certainly those around him at least are thoroughly enjoying it.
So you do
joining in,
playing a lot of his cards early, really.
Yes, he is. You need to pace yourself, really. But he's got a balmy hat on. So it's not a shiny trumpet. It looks as if it's seen a few performances, that one. Unless he's done the wise option and brought an old one with him, just in case it gets lost or something. Anderson runs up the slope. Bowls outside the off stump. Very close again to the off stump. You've heard an ooh and an ah there, and Joe Root's got his... he's actually polishing the ball. It's Bairstow who's got his head in his hands at second slip.
But it's a good leave, though. It's just enough, until he gets the in-swinger. But the in-swinger is a high-risk ball because he doesn't get it quite right. It kind of disappears through square leg for 4. I think Anderson, after yesterday, when he wasn't quite at his best and he leaked a few more runs than normal, is less inclined to experiment too much at the moment.
So Anderson bowls outside the off stump. That's wider. Have you brought your a smarter jacket and tie with you, possibly, Victor, today, or not?
I think, why did you ask? This is my solitary one on for this trip.
You may be pressed into action.
Why is it?
Well, as you say, they were man down. Man down.
Oh, I see.
And it's not through COVID or anything like that.
Man down.
Man down. Isha's locked her car keys in her car and hasn't made it here yet. I don't know how it's possible to do that. I thought the cars didn't like to be...
New rotors coming?
I don't know what we're going to do. So you could well be presenting the highlights.
Oh, right.
That was what I meant.
Well, I haven't brought my mirror.
Oh, she's got hers then.
Oh, right.
There's hairspray and everything next door.
Oh.
Right, here's Anderson bowling outside the off stump. So, yes, you have to go out and slip into something a little more...
Well, yeah.
A little more acceptable for television.
I think it's... Provided they stay sort of waist up, it'll be all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah, if you've had to take some of that stuff out of that pocket, the jacket pocket.
Well, I've got all my worldly goods in there.
It looks like it. Take all that out, it might fit a bit better.
Okay.
Anyway, good luck. If Isha's listening to what, she can't be. She's not in the car.
Well, she'll be here.
There's something of the Chris Martin Jenkins about Isha.
Who'd have thought it?
I know. The only similarity that there is. In comes Anderson and bowls outside the off stump. So organised on the air and everything else, but chaotic away from it, and stuff left all over the place.
She's at the right ground. I mean,
she hasn't yet fallen for that old trap of going. Did he go to the Lords rather than the Oval?
Yes.
The Oval rather than Lords?
I think he went to Lords when he should have been at the Oval. And the irony was, I think, when he turned up at Lords, he was on time.
I think you're right.
Owing to the absence of traffic, no doubt.
Or crowds or anything. Yeah. Yes, you're right. 215 for 2. Sun beating down. Anderson bowls and still looking for the first run here. Kohli plays that away to a deepish gully where Hamid is fielding. Another very tidy over. So safely negotiated. 215 for 2. So the new ball doing a little bit. But they're not playing it that much, Andy.
Morning,
Good morning
everyone.
to you.
So far, in the 3 maidens, yes, the ball has hit the bat just 3 times, and India have left 14 of the 18 deliveries. Has anyone ever been at the Kennington Oval when they were supposed to be at the Kensington Oval, Barbados?
Oh, well, that would be good. Not even CMJ's pull that one off.
Wrong thing in sat-nav, things can go wrong.
Yeah. No, or Eden Park and Eden Gardens could be another possibility, I suppose. Helen in Rutland. Oh, I'm sure the sun's shining there. Hello, Helen in Rutland. Good morning, Aggers. I wondered if you could wish my lifelong friend Sam Scott for his wedding in Uppingham today. So wish lifelong friend all the very best, I assume you say that, Helen. Finally going ahead after many postponements. He and all the Scott family are amazing patrons to Uppingham Town Cricket Club and would like to wish them the very best day possible. Helen, that's done. Here's Robinson bowling. Has turned away to mid-on. Yeah, good luck all of you. Everyone getting married today. What a beautiful day you have for it. Hopefully, it certainly is here. And Uppingham Town. John Tilley, if you're listening. He used to stick the wind up the schoolboys.
Got playing for Uppingham.
Oh,
Cricket club.
Huge fast bowler, yeah.
Well, I expect you retaliated.
Well, I retaliated, but I never enjoyed facing very much.
No. Even as a naive 16-year-old.
Well, I think I had a bat at number 3 in those days.
Well, I'm sure that doesn't totally surprise me.
No, John Tilley, yeah, ferocious. Robinson bowls. Played away into the onside, and there's no run. Now, a really nice club. There's lots of very good friends from Uppingham Town. 215 for 2. Some beating down here at Headingley. I hope it's day to come dressed as a duck, because it's really pretty warm in there. In fact, one sensibly there I can see has put sort of a flap up, which is his beak. He's raised it. So, he can see better, and I suppose also to help him breathe. Pretty warm in there. 215 for 2. Robinson lumbers in, bowls. That's the in-swinger, he pads it away. I'm not sure it's done enough. The umpire says not out. It's a lovely piece of bowling, and Pujara was fooled into playing no stroke. It was straight rather than an in-swinger. They're going to review it. Yeah, well, we'll see.
You feel he didn't play a shot, so it doesn't matter if the ball's pitched outside line. It was full in length.
TV umpire to director.
You feel it might not
play a
be
review
quite straight enough.
Original
didn't feel out from me, but we'll see.
It's a fair delivery. No shot offered. So we'll go straight to ball tracking when ready, please.
It won't take long, this one, because there's no point having the snickometer and so on. But I think it's going to be okay. But it was a lovely piece of bowling, and whatever else happens, it'll mean that Pujara is now, if he wasn't already, aware of the fact that Robinson's got that in-swinger up his sleeve. It didn't seem to me to really come back enough. But
he's got umpire's call in his favour, of course, Pujara as well. So it was a lovely piece of bowling because he's been swinging it away. And this
here we go, and it's pitching outside as we know. It's hitting. It is hitting the off stump.
Hitting the wickets.
Wow. Well, that's a surprise.
Go back to Richard
I must be
on
honest.
Richard, you need to reverse your decision.
Pujara can't believe it. Up goes the fingers. Kohli can't believe it. And Robinson breaks through, and not only just brushing the off stump, but clattering into it, the computer says.
Well, it's a terrific piece of bowling in the sense that we have watched Robinson with this new ball, and just about every delivery has not swung prodigiously, but it's moved, shaped away towards the slip cordon. And this wasn't so much as an in-swinger as a ball that was slanted in. It didn't shape away at all, just kept coming in. What I would say is that when we've watched a lot of reviews from Robinson, he does beat the bat quite a lot. And very often when we've watched the ball that sort of ducks in, it has been missing leg stump, i.e. it's gone a bit more leg side than we thought with the naked eye.
Yep.
And that leads me to think that there's a certain logic there that whilst, we're thinking that's not quite done enough, he gets so high that he's not quite, the angle is a bit from wider towards mid-off than you think. Anyway, it's a wicket.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing added.
It's 3 reds.
It's exactly what England needed, but that's that surprised a lot of people, I think, including us up here. The umpire gave it not out, but there you go.
It was also one of those you watch, Root had to think about.
Yeah.
Do we review here? It's nip and tuck. I don't want to waste any reviews, but he went for it. And, of course, he's very, very pleased he did it.
So the breakthrough that England wanted, and it is Robinson, who, by the way, also doesn't seem to be nursing any sort of an injury at the moment. So that's
if he is, it's got a lot better in the last 60 seconds. Rahane's the new man. It's a perfect start for England. There's nothing much untoward has happened off this pitch. That was not anything to do with the pitch. It was just that he got the ball just to slant in.
Just flicked the pad, didn't it, as well?
We're having another look. It just came back a little bit off the pitch, but it was angled in as opposed to swinging away. It's hitting that off stump, according to that. Hitting it hard and well below the top of the stumps too. Pujara was clearly taken aback.
Yes, and Kohli too. Anyway, new man's arrived. Ajinkya Rahane is absolutely the start that England wanted. The new ball.
Look at Habib. He's emergency. They like a back pad for Rahane. He's scrambled to get his kit on.
Oh, yes.
He's looking a bit of a mess at the moment because his shin pads are outside his trousers at the moment.
They are.
The box is just being inserted.
He's got his helmet on. So Rahane's first ball then. 3 slips, a gully, and Robinson from our end is on his way now. The right-handed Rahane waits through bowls and he plays across that pad. Hits the ball to Anderson at wide mid-on. 215 for 3. So 139 behind still. They haven't added to that overnight score. And this is, the fourth over of the morning.
It is skillful bowling, that, though. You'll appreciate that in the fact that, it's
beautiful.
It's easy to say, we'll give him a straight one, having bowled a waste swing, but it's trickier to do, isn't it?
Absolutely. And it's trickier to do it with a brand new ball than with one that's maybe 20 overs old. There isn't such an obvious rougher side. Robinson again. Over the wicket, bowls to Rahane. That's turned away. Well, there's an appeal for leg before wicket. Might have gone for a pad that down towards long leg. And the umpire signals a leg by. Got quite a long way across there, but that's the first run of the morning, and it's a leg by. 216 for 3. And now Kohli will have a look at Ollie Robinson. He's walking slowly back to his mark. Hamid's retreated, come out of the short leg position. In fact, he's gone to backward point. But you keep quite a big gap in the offside there for Kohli, don't they? All the way down from mid-off to gully, really, is where Hamid is fielding. A deep one, but he's on that line. Robinson on his way, bowls to Kohli, who stretches a front foot down the pitch, raises the bat, and that's taken by Buttler. There's the applause for successful over from Ollie Robinson. Added just one run this morning. They've lost that wicket. It's
no ball.
Oh no, it's a no ball.
Do it again.
Have to go back and do it again. And so the players all go back into position. It's going to kill an exciting ending, that one.
One day.
One day it will.
Well, but
217 for 3.
it'll also save a lot of hassle too.
Robinson on his way, moves in and bowls, and we assume that's the last ball of the over. Fielded in the gully. 217 for 3. Kohli 45. Rahane yet to score. More from Victor, and then it'll be Dan Norcross.
Well, both sides have been very, very cagey, but England have made the first strike there. They've toiled for so long yesterday, but Robinson has got the wicket with a fine piece of bowling. You have to see it in the context of the 3 overs or 2 overs he's bowled this morning. Constantly just shaping that ball away, and then he puts in just the one killer dead straight ball, really, but angled in. It wasn't so much an in-swing, it was just angled in. And Pujara was looking to leave, as they've done so well throughout the start of the day's play. And then to some surprise, 3 reds came up.
It brought about a record as well, which we'll come to in a moment. As Anderson is in to the new batter, Rahane, who pushes it to the offside, and there's no run. Andy Zaltzman will have the details, and it's about Shea Pujara failing to add to his overnight score, which he had done on 5 previous occasions in Test match cricket. This is the 6th time he's done it.
What, failed to add?
Failed to add to his overnight score.
Well, that is peculiar. I mean, that is another little gem.
Yes, you'd have had your notebook out in years gone by.
I would.
Anderson, 3 slips and a gully into Rahane. Rahane comes forward, pushes into space on the offside. Moeen will field. They get through for the first run off the bat, I think, today. 218 for 3.
Yes, it was something that our Sky colleague Benedict Beaumonge sent through, that Pujara is now tied with Chris Cairns and Jacques Kallis, most times dismissed without adding to their overnight score overnight. Cairns and Kallis 6 times. Pujara's was his 6th in his career. Behind them, Graham Gooch, Mike Atherton, Misbah Hack, and West Indian tailender Darren Powell.
I always used to think of Andrew Strauss suffering that as the problem, as Anderson is in. That beats the bat of Kohli. A beautiful delivery. Drew Kohli forward, flew past his outside edge. And Kohli fortunate not to get a bit of bat on that.
Yeah, I had the same impression about Strauss. Not that, I mean, he probably did get 1 or 2, but very often he seemed to have a big score overnight and not be able to get going the next morning.
Maybe he just didn't add very many, as opposed to necessarily getting out without addition. Bit more zip in that delivery from Anderson.
It was a very good line again. He did play at that.
He was a bit zipless yesterday, but it seems to have come back in the sunshine. He runs into Kohli. Kohli gets one of his pads and they're going to get through for a single, probably a leg by. Wait to see umpires. Yes, signal it is a leg by. Another extra, 219 for 3. The deficit 135. England having made the breakthrough in the previous Robinson over. Andy.
Pujara's final figures 91 from 189 balls with 15 fours. The partnership was 99 in 35.5 overs.
Big breakthrough for England, that. Pujara looked good yesterday. And his century drought continues now. It goes back to, is it January 2019? Which is quite a long time. Anderson, the top of his mark, coming into Rahane. And Rahane thinks of playing at that ball, lets it go by at the last minute. And there's no run. It's curious, isn't it? The ball seems to be doing a little bit more with the sun out. Is it a morning thing?
Well, it's a new ball thing.
Yeah.
And bowlers are fresh after a night's rest, perhaps. But you're right, it moved around on the first morning, which was quite a bright day, and didn't seem to move around a great deal with cloud cover, which is not supposed to be the case at Headingley, but nothing ever is.
It's a bit cooler, I think, yesterday. Anderson is in, and that's full. Played on the front foot by Rahane out into the covers. Moeen does the fielding. End of the over, 219 for 3. Kohli 45. Rahane 1. Spin didn't really prove awfully effective. Yesterday, Joe Root probably turned the ball more than...
I mean, he did go over the top of the stumps once with an absolute peach. I mean, a lot of right-handers at the top of the order. You know, in the perfect world, Joe Root would have had a left-arm spinner, if only to keep them really tight and bottled up and look for that sort of DRS LBW or something.
Robinson doesn't start a new over.
But you can't have all things. I mean, we'll wait to the end of the game, but in hindsight you wonder whether a left-arm spinner might have been more used to Joe Root in this match than a left than Sam Curran, let's say.
Fearful of the tail, aren't they? It seems to me as much as
although the
else.
tail is strengthened theoretically by Broad's absence and the addition of Overton, and Robinson's got something to offer there, but still.
Here is Robinson with the ball, and it's left alone outside the off stump by Kohli. No run. But spin hasn't really prospered hugely at Headingley, has it? I mean...
Well, I don't know. I'd hesitate to... I remember famously Graham Swan, when he was near his pomp, was left out at Headingley.
Yes.
And he managed not to smile when England got absolutely thrashed.
Against Australia in 2009,
But you look at the surface now, I mean, it should, after... They're in the fourth day, it's brown and it's footmarks around.
Robinson into Kohli. Kohli defends on the front foot, finds a gap in the offside again, just in front of square. On that offside, and they get through for a single. 220 for 3.
So it should offer something, but we haven't seen much. We saw Jadeja bowl a beauty to Hamid.
Well, there are two left-handers due in next for India, Punt and Jadeja.
Well,
and there's quite dirty marks outside the left-handers off stump at both ends.
Well, I think Moeen still has a part to play, or indeed Joe. Unless there's a clatter of wickets with this new ball, he's going to need his spinner. And the spinner in the modern game, it's more of an attacking option when he's turning the ball away from the bat.
Short leg, very square. Hamid as Robinson's into Rahane, pushes into the offside. Moeen fields, there's no run.
I mean, if we get another wicket falling shortly, everything moves up a gear when Pant comes in.
It does.
Tempo changes.
Great fun to watch.
Absolutely.
People are sort of concerned about whether, it's one of these, is he playing his natural game type thing?
I think if you're in the Indian camp, you don't want him to forsake his natural game.
Robinson in again, driven gloriously by Rahane. An off drive, straightish off drive for 4. That is a beautiful shot. Over pitch the touch, but not much more than that. 224 for 3.
And I say that partly because players like that, are often more secure, not when they're absolutely thrashing at the ball constantly, but when they are looking to be aggressive, which is that natural way, they are actually more inclined to get into good positions to defend the ball if necessary. Someone like Pant does not naturally get into good positions when he's looking to defend all the time.
Here comes Robinson, and Rahane lets this go by. No run. Outside the off stump. Yes, you don't want to inhibit him, do you?
No, I mean, he's got to find the right balance, and he's got better at that as his career's gone on. But if you're in the England camp, and you've got your off-spinners bowling, let's say, and you've got Pant who's set on defending, I think you're pleased, actually.
Yeah.
Makes life simple, and you're confident that there'll be a ball out there that he doesn't quite deal with. But when he's being aggressive, bowlers start bowling worse.
Here comes Robinson to complete the over, and Rahane defends on the front foot. Full ball to Moeen at short extra. There's no run. Pete Constantine has messaged us. My son Alexander Constantine has gone to watch today's test for the very first time with his friends. He's never played cricket, but he's totally fascinated by all the nuances, tactics and strategy. I believe it was all the years of me listening to TMS when he was little. He's now 28 and has fallen in love with the game. I have now presented him with the very first cricket ball that my father gave me. I've spoken to him this morning, and first thing he said was he bought an earpiece so he can hear TMS. Could you surprise him and say hello? Now he's found the game I love.
Hello. Well, that's great, actually, isn't it? There'll be some nuances today. There's been a test match full of nuances.
It has, hasn't it?
Because there's been slow passages of play, but it's never been dull.
No. Apart from the skies. Anderson into Kohli, who reaches for that a little, pushes it away backward a square on the offside. Hamid fields a backward point. There's no run. I mean, it's a ludicrous game, cricket. India 78 all out.
Yeah.
Now 224 for 3. You think the pitch is supposed to deteriorate. It's supposed to get harder to bat. Actually, it doesn't at Headingley, it seems. It's a pattern we've seen developing. Makes you wonder why everybody doesn't bowl first at Headingley. I keep thinking about West Indies game in 2017 when it was impossible to take a wicket in the last day.
Yeah.
Here is Anderson, Kohli. Kohli plays and misses at this.
That is
so close to the outside edge. Frustrated Anderson still can't get a wicket in the second innings. It was full, it brought the drive, and Kohli's missed it by, I think, a whisker. A whisker.
Yeah, for the first time, Kohli thought he spied just about a half volley. And it's unlike him to miss by so much. It was a tempting delivery. It was just slightly fuller in length.
They know what an important wicket he is.
Well, for all sorts of reasons. He's played better in this innings than he has throughout the series.
Here comes Anderson into Kohli. Kohli gets wrapped on a pad. Big appeal, much loved by Overton, who's bouncing up and down like Zebedee. But it's not going to be given. Is it going down leg?
Well, Anderson does not look that interested, and he kind of knows. He's played so much cricket.
He's walking away.
Yeah, Joe's looking towards him, but Anderson has already lost interest and is walking back to his mark, and one must assume that he's got it right. It's pretty straight, but it's high. It's high.
The back leg.
Yeah.
But high.
He knew.
The crowd's getting up for it now. He's beaten the bat, now he's beaten the outside edge, now the inside edge. Anderson into Kohli, who firmly defends this ball up to mid-off, where Moeen does the fielding. There's no run. 224 for 3, another couple of balls left in the over, but we're having a change in the commentary box. Vic Marks is leaving us. A very casual-looking Michael Vaughan is in the house, wearing a T-shirt. We've just seen the ball tracking. And the ball was indeed going over the top, missing by a good couple of inches. Another good decision from Alex Wharf, standing in his first men's test match. Here comes Anderson into Kohli. Kohli lets this go by. Through to the keeper, there's no run. Welcome, Michael.
Good morning. Yeah, I've gone for the summer look.
I was going to say...
Beautiful, isn't it? 21 degrees.
Oh, it's baking.
few fluffy clouds arriving, but not a lot. It's good cricket, though.
Good start from England, it's been.
Just admit the Bajara LBW, at first glance, I didn't have it flushing the off stump. Hawkeye did its job for England.
He's shown a bit of jag back as Hawkeye in this match. Here comes Anderson to Kohli. Beats it over, beats him again, as an edge going. Kohli's gone. Anderson's got his man, has he? Kohli's waiting, is he thinking of referring? He's having a chat, does he not know if he's edged it?
Well, he was walking off, so sure.
He was walking off. He's thinking this is important. They can't afford to lose him, so he's chatting to Rahane. He's gone for the referral. There's a big, big moment in the game coming up here now.
Well, as an ex-batter, if you start to walk off, surely he's hit it. He's trying to say that he might have clipped his pad now, but I'm not too sure about that. If you walk off, you generally know.
Here we are, we're seeing the replay. Ooh, I don't know.
Just rock that
He's
back,
looked
please.
behind immediately.
Has he hit that front pad with a... I think he has, actually.
He has in his front bone. I think he might have missed this ball, you know.
Looks like it is close to the bat, but he's also clipped his pad as well. Can we
walked off.
have a look at Aldridge, please?
Might be both.
I think he might be getting away with this.
Okay, he's clipped his pad there. We've got
not out.
clear daylight between bat and ball. Okay, just rock back, please.
Why is he
There, please.
walking off?
Yeah, okay, the spike is clipping his pad. Clear daylight between bat and ball. Roll the ball through, please.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go back to Alex on field. Alex, we've got clear daylight between bat and ball. We have a spike where it's batters hit the pad. Reverse your decision, please.
Right, so Kohli survived. But as you say, Michael, why did he walk off?
Yeah, I do feel sorry for the modern player that, you know, that celebration, that feeling of emotion for Jimmy Anderson and all the court and everyone running around. They ran around 30 yards celebrating to then have their candy taken away. It's like,
If that happens the last weekend of a test match one day. Well, I mean, it sort of didn't it? The other way in a test match. When was it? 2013. Brad Haddin caught behind. It was the last week of the test. There was that partnership between he and Agar in that game. Robinson comes in, start a new over. After all that hullabaloo, and Rahane defends on the front foot, back to the bowler, no run. So yes, all very, very exciting. But you can see why Worf made that decision. And Virat was walking off. And I think, did Rahane call him back there, perhaps?
yeah, he did, yeah. Ajinkya Rahane called him back. He was 2 or 3 yards on his way back to the pavilion.
That could be the most important contribution Rahane makes in this match.
That has kept Rahane in the side for quite a while. He doesn't need any runs now.
No. 3 slips in a gully. Robinson in. And Rahane defends solidly, beautifully, actually. Back to the bowler. There's no run on the
Do you think
front
that'll
foot.
come into the equation in the future of how good a reviewer you are from the non-strikers end?
It might be important, mightn't it? Yeah. I mean, Andy, that could be our way into the side. No? I think you'd be pretty good at reviewing.
Might not be enough.
What, to
Have
get
an
the
all-round
team?
If you save Kohli and he gets 150 here, you've basically made 100 runs for the team.
You'd be right on social nights, Andy. You could do the quiz.
Yeah, we're doing one today. Here's Robinson into Rahane. Rahane lets it go by. Outside the off stump, there's no run.
But I'm just surprised with Virat. You know as a batter when you've clipped your pad. You know, and there are times when you clip your pad and it also finds the outside edge at the same time. Maybe that's what he thought. Maybe he thought that he'd the ball had brushed the outside edge exactly at the same time. But I was surprised that he didn't kind of realise that straight away.
He's a curious fellow, Kohli. He's actually not walked twice when he's bowled, and has now walked when he hasn't hit it. Here comes Robinson into Rahane. Rahane drives beautifully through the offside for 4. There was 2 full and a bit of width from Robinson, and Rahane was right onto it, right out of the meat of the bat. The score advances to 228 for 3. By the way, if you want to be a part of Andy Zaltzman's quiz, he and I will be hosting Silly Pointless at tea. So if you want to be on that, get in touch, tms@bbc.co.uk. It's one of the most illustrious quizzes there is. like Mastermind, you win nothing. But honour and the opportunity to say you outthought the great man, Andy Zaltzman.
You're not going to, was it blankety blank checkbook and pen, something like that?
I always wanted one
or
of them.
a mug.
Didn't they look lovely?
Yeah.
Robinson into Rahani, who pushes into the offside, fielded at point, and there's no run. It was, the checkbook and pen, it had this lovely curl to it, didn't it?
Family Fortunes, you get a mug.
Get a mug, do you? Yeah. Yeah, he's a big fan of Family Fortune.
Yeah, Ollie Robinson's just signalled that he wants to go off after this over. I'm not too sure why. It's just a signal. I knew yesterday that the physio was down giving him some treatment to what looked like something of an issue around his right ankle. I mean, if you look at the conditions, all right, India are trailing by 126, but there should be runs for an Indian batter or two on this pitch now as it's playing in these conditions.
Rahani faces up the last ball of this over and defends it solidly to mid-on, where Jimmy Anderson does the fielding. That's the end of the over. India 228 for 3, Kohli 46, Rahani 9. Words from Andy Zaltzman. Then it's going to be Alison Mitchell.
Well, had that appeal against Kohli stood, it would have been Jimmy Anderson's 400th wicket in England.
Oh, wow.
So still waiting for that. Only one player has taken 400 wickets in a single country. And that is Matthias Muralitharan, the all-time Test wicket-taking leader with 800 wickets in his career. Took 493 of them in Sri Lanka.
Well, that's a good number for James Anderson. Been highlighting his difficulty of late with taking second innings wickets, but I mean, across the career, absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, it's the last 9 innings that have been an issue. 2 wickets and what was it, an average of 155 over before today, 121 overs, but I think the previous 8 innings to that he had an average of about 20
and no problem at all.
So they've started they've started to kind of look at the data right at the time they want to.
Anderson in, dropping this one into the offside is Kohli, and getting down to the other end for a single as Moeen moves across from mid-off to pick up.
Jimmy is the kind of bowler now, I know, Virat's a magnificent player, but I think he would breathe a sigh of relief at that moment that you're getting a single, that you can go and just have a breather, because when you face someone like Jimmy Anderson, I used to do it against Sean Pollock, and he was such a good bowler. Well, when you couldn't get down from his end, it was hard to get a single because he had quite negative fields. So when you actually got down the non-strikers end, it was like, he's only going to bowl 5 or maybe 6, maybe 7. You kind of counted the overs down.
Well, Rahani's on 9. 3 sips in the gully in the bright sunshine. Anderson is in. Forward he comes to a ball that was full and straight, and defended back up the pitch. To be very happy just to get off strike and watch from 22 yards away.
Well, it's relentless when you're facing someone like Jimmy Anderson, because he very rarely, I know he bowled a few balls yesterday, but very rarely does he give you a gift where you can hit it to the boundary. And he's questioning your mind, your technique, every single ball.
That Kohli, the review, well, it was a curious one, wasn't it? Because he absolutely looked guilty. I mean, never mind walking off. As soon as he'd played the ball, his head whipped around to see if it had gone into the gloves. Here's a late leave from Rahani, swishing the bat away from the ball as it goes through to Butler outside the off stump. It's funny, isn't it? We always say, as batsmen, surely you know when you've hit it. On that occasion, he thought he had, but he hadn't.
Yeah, that was a strange one. His face, though, Virat, I mean, he scored that many test runs, but that relief that you saw on his face when he looked at the big screen, it's still this shows, doesn't it? You can be great like Virat, but it's still that huge relief when you know you're not out.
Yeah. Well, he wants to achieve great things from this test series. Still lots more cricket to be played. As Anderson is in, he's beating the bat of Rahani as he pushed forward defensively into the gloves of Butler. They brought hands on heads from the slip cordon once again.
Yeah, and this second new ball, Ali will continue doing what we've seen for about an hour or so, just a little bit of nibble. But when you get to around 12:30, beyond lunch in particular in the afternoon session, the seamers, there won't be a great deal there for them, so they have to strike in the morning session.
And I think we were all saying to each other, weren't we, at the start of the day, that if Pujara and Kohli were still there at 12:30 leading up to lunch, it was big trouble for England.
That was nervous times, as that was going to be the case.
It's still 125 behind. Anderson in, and is defended by Rahani into the offside, fielded by Moeen forward at extra cover. and no run. And they've still got that deficit to make up. And speaking to Rohit Sharma after play last night, saying, of course, as a team, they are talking positively about the intent to bat through the day. I mean, yes, session by session, but if they're able to bat deep to tee and beyond, they start to think about a really awkward target for England to be chasing on the final day. Small, you'd expect, but a little bit nasty and awkward. Shouldering of arms from Rahane, bat lifted above his head and through to Buttler. But there's 7 more wickets, a new ball to negotiate, and already Pujara gone.
Well, when we park here at Headingley, we just park down the road and we have those golf buggies that drive us up the street. Managed to jump in it this morning.
You have what, sorry?
Oh, there's a golf buggy there.
There's a golf buggy?
Yeah, lovely gentleman. Drives me every morning. He's a good chap. He's very humorous.
Can I just check with Zoltz? Do you get driven in a golf buggy, Zoltz?
No, I've not been offered the golf buggy
Have you
option.
not got
I haven't been offered the golf buggy either.
Of Yorkshire.
Former England captains,
No, I
only.
think it's, well, anyway, he's a lovely chap and he's quite humorous, and he came up with a very... I said to him, what do you reckon win the test? He said, simply, he said, if India are batting at 6:30 tonight, it'll go into tomorrow.
Yep, can't argue with that. Robinson into Kohli, who's on 47, bowling full in on the pads, clipping it away through mid-wicket. It's Hamid chasing this to the boundary, but it'll be 4. And Kohli reaches 50 for the first time in this series. That's got the Indian fans to their feet. Kohli walks forward and the thump of the gloves with Rahane. No big celebration, and a muted wave of the bat towards the dressing room and the crowd.
Yeah, he's played with more patience just outside the off stump in this innings, and it's made the England bowlers bowl to him. Straight ball like that last one we've just seen, and he's been so pure through that onside. Really nice balance from Kohli in this innings so far.
Robinson bounding in full. He's defending, coming forward, fielded by Moeen at mid-off. India are 233 for 3, 121 behind.
Yeah, and whatever happens, Ali, in this game from here, Virat will take confidence with the bat to the oval. He's got a 50. It's his first of the series, as you've just mentioned. And you can, even when you lose a game, you can individually take confidence into the next game. Pujara will take confidence down to the oval. Virat will take a bit more confidence down to the oval. Rahane needs a score. Rishabh needs a score. Jadeja needs a score. So
Robinson over the wicket now, forward. Kohli defending towards cover. It will be fielded, no run.
Yeah, so there are... when you hear the captain's coach or he can take the positives out of the game, well, it's individuals that I look at can take positives out of a loss. The team can't, because you've lost the game. I never buy into that. But I do think individuals can take positivity into the next test match with a score or a nice bowling spell.
And it can then sometimes just be 1 or 2 individuals who come off the next time to play that match-winning knock, the match-winning partnership. And we haven't really seen Rishabh Pant, for example, turn a game yet, as Robinson is in, has beaten Kohli once more. He pushed forward defensively, and that ball past the outside edge. It's good bowling. Still just enough movement.
Yeah, what I like about Ollie Robinson, he looks a natural, and he subtly changes his variations with his angles on the crease. On this occasion, he went a little bit tighter into the stumps. Now and again comes a bit wider, so he's always subtly changing the angle of what the batter is facing. He's got the ability to go away from the right-hander. We've seen the ball come back in.
3 slips, backward points, cover, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket as Robinson is in full, driven by Kohli, looking to squeeze it past mid-on, and he does. He gets it past a diving James Anderson, who's left flat on his back, and the ball runs away for 4.
We were talking about this yesterday. Stuart Broad was WhatsApping, and we were discussing it. Jimmy did what Moeen did yesterday. He did the roly-poly dive, so he didn't have to chase it.
Keep rolling.
He just rolled on the floor, and he kind of looked at Moeen at me. I said, you'll have to fetch that, Moeen. Beautiful drive again, going straight. He's forced Ollie Robinson twice in the over to go straight.
I hope he didn't fall too awkwardly on his left shoulder there, because as he's got up, he's been rotating it at his position at mid-on. And Robinson in again now. And that does edge! Taken at first slip! It's another for Ollie Robinson. He's got the big scalp of Virat Kohli. What a start to the day for England with the new ball. Joe Root is absolutely delighted, as is the England crowd at Headingley. And Kohli, he made 50, but he won't be making too many more.
Well, you see, Virat's really disappointing that he's played it. He's feeling that he could have left that delivery. It's a good ball. It bounces, goes away with the seam movement. Good catch from Joe Root. Kind of dive into his... Goes for the aeroplane celebration. Not seen that one before. Oh, he knows now. 117, England lead by Pujara and Kohli out inside the first hour.
That was
exactly what the doctor ordered from an England perspective.
Indeed. 117 still the deficit. Kohli walks off, looking down, a slight shake of the head. He would have wanted to have taken real responsibility as captain to bed in with Rahane.
Right, where's Javo? Javo 69, is he coming out?
Who will they send out? Well, it'll be Pant. In talking about someone who hasn't yet taken a game away, how do you reckon he will play?
And what are his numbers in this series so far?
Rishabh Pant so far in the series scores of 25, 37 and 22.
I mean, he could take a big bite out of this deficit quite quickly.
Yeah.
But it is a new ball. Circumstances are quite different.
Yeah, he's arrived. You know, you could argue at the start of the series, and still is probably the most exciting cricketer in the world. I don't know what he's delivered, but he's yet to have produced the kind of innings that we've seen, and particularly the innings that we saw in Australia, Brisbane.
Yeah.
It's not quite been with him so far, and it's not as easy in English conditions to play the way that Rishabh would like to play, which is very flamboyant, playing big drives when the ball's moving about, but there isn't that much movement out there. That was just a bit of bounce, actually, looking at the replay for that Virat Kohli dismissal, just that extra bit of bounce that Robinson gets. It's a good grab. Rishabh, strap yourselves in. I think I know the way he's going to play today.
Well, it's a hard ball. If he goes hard, that ball will fly.
Kohli's final figures 55 from 125 balls with 8 fours. His 50 came from his 120th ball. It was his 53rd 50-plus score in tests. He has converted 27 of them into centuries, but none of the last 4. And this was his first 50 score in his last 6 tests.
Well, Pant's down at the non-striker's end as Anderson is into Rahane, drop and run into the offside. This will bring Pant on strike. As Hamid moves forward to pick up. So let's see how this goes. Again, if he does go hard, the ball will either fly or we could see a wicket fall pretty quickly. I feel there's a little bit of extra electricity in the air around Headingley at the moment from both sets of fans. I think a degree of exhilaration, a degree of nerves to see what's going to happen in the next 20 minutes or so.
So Kohli's half century was the 3rd slowest of his 53 in tests.
Right, the crowd are waiting in anticipation. Rishabh Pant is looking around him, seeing 3 slips, seeing a backward point, seeing deep third on the boundary. And facing his first ball, India 116 behind still. Anderson in now, he's charging him immediately and then switches to defence. The ball runs off the outside edge towards Burns. Well, there you go, that's the intent.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. I mean, it's the mind of Rishabh Pant I just find fascinating. I mean, he's gone out there and he's decided in his mind, there's all sorts going off in there, and someone said in that mind, go on, dance down first ball. Yeah, why not? Why not?
Take on England's best bowler, greatest ever wicket taker. Skip down the crease to him first up.
What's he going to do now?
And actually struck him high on the thigh pad as Anderson's in. He's skipping forward once more and clips him wide of mid-on. A tumbling stop by Moeen, and Pant is off the mark down the non-striker's end.
There must be, so in players' minds, so someone like Pujara, he's not got many in that mind. He's just got a couple of people having a nice quiet chat because he's going to play his way. How many reckons in Rishabh's having conversations, just talking to, go on, dance down, you can hit a 6.
Have you read the book about the chimp paradox?
Yeah.
There might be sort of several different competing voices.
Come on, Rishabh, be fun today.
Rahane, though, is waiting for Anderson. Blue sky, white clouds, Anderson in, and Rahane's defending out towards cover. Burns is there to pick up.
Yeah, just a fielding change there. England went for Rory Burns to be at cover point for Rahane rather than having him at that 4th catcher. Don't know why that would be. Runs shouldn't really be a concern at this stage. With them leading by 115. I'd much prefer Rory Burns to be in that catching position. Big vacant space from third slip to backward point, which is Hasib Hamid. Too worried if you get driven a couple of times through the covers. This amount of runs.
Particularly with two quick wickets, 2 wickets having fallen in relatively quick succession, just keep that sense of being on top of India as Anderson is in. Little straighter that time, clipped to mid-wicket along the ground, and there's no run. Well, 3 wickets in the innings for Ollie Robinson so far then, because he got Rohit Sharma yesterday. And this morning, Pujara, LBW not offering a shot as he padded up outside the off stump without adding to his overnight 91. And then the big one of Kohli, caught by Root at first slip. It's been a very good second innings so far for Robinson.
I reckon Kohli's dismissal throughout the whole series have all been caught behind, haven't they? Either to Joss Butler or the slip corner. Every single innings that he's been out here has been the outside edge have been found.
Anderson in now. Is that taking the edge? It has! Butler is celebrating. The finger goes up and Rahane is off. What a first hour this is for England. James Anderson gets his first second innings wicket of the summer. And he's got Rahane, and England are now starting to burst through this Indian lineup.
Well, this is tremendous. He's deserved this, Jimmy Anderson, this morning. He's bowled brilliantly. Wasn't quite at his best yesterday, but you just know with Jimmy that, you know, he'll come back the next day, he'll iron out whatever was wrong yesterday, and he's put it right today. It's that angled seam that looks like it's going to be coming back to the right-hander that's doing the Indian players, and it's just kind of holding in the surface with a little bit of movement away from Rahane. It's a timid kind of defence. Disappointment once again for Rahane at 3, 4 and 5. Kohli's got a few in this innings, and Pujara. But you're looking at the whole of the Indian batting lineup. It's vulnerable when the ball moves. So vulnerable.
Well, drinks are being brought out onto the field now. India 5 down and 115 behind. It feels very different to when Kohli and Pujara had put on nearly 100 yesterday, and India were only 2 down overnight. But that new ball was always going to be a huge factor in this morning's session. Yes, the sun was out. It's warmer. Perfect conditions for batting with a pitch that was slowing, but that movement of the new ball, Pujara, it was agonising for him to walk off without the 100 that he so desperately craved and that his career is looking for at the moment. 2.5 years since he's been in triple figures. So I think a Sunday off is probably what the players are now looking at, Michael. I think you can say that.
Yeah.
Andy?
You mentioned it's Jimmy Anderson's first second innings wicket this summer. That's his 76th over. And finally has struck. That's over 5 innings, and it's his 400th wicket in tests in England. As I mentioned earlier on, the only other player with 400 wickets in a single country in tests is Matai Muralitharan in Sri Lanka with 493.
Well, maybe this would be James Anderson's day to romp through the rest of the Indian lineup. Michael, a few more words from you.
Yeah.
India 115 behind, and Agaz is coming in.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Virat Kohli, 51 innings now without an international century. And his last international century was against a Bangladesh team without Shakib. Kohli's test batting average since the 1st of January 2020 is 24. 11 tests, 19 innings, 469 runs. So he'll be disappointed with that, Virat Kohli. Just going through one of those periods in his career that's not quite as easy as some other periods. Afternoon, Agus.
Yes, well, crikey, it was an eventful half hour. And the Kohli caught behind was interesting, wasn't it? The initial one, because he started to walk off. He thought he'd edged it. It was a case of technology actually working brilliantly. There's still people talk about the ball tracking, and I think Pujara might be still wondering about that. But as far as nicks into pads and so on like that, it's absolutely brilliant, because it also takes heat out of a situation too. Yeah. No one can argue with it. But for Kohli, he started to walk off. Even he thought that he had edged that, but.
Well, you just want the right decisions, don't you? And that's why I really like technology in cricket, because we end up more often than not with the right decisions. You know, when teams burn their reviews and things go against them, well, They deserve to have things go against them because they've not reviewed decisions correctly.
Drinks have been taken at the fall of that wicket, so Jadeja has now joined Rishabh Pant, and then it's the bowlers to come. So England making vital inroads this morning, taken 3 wickets. And Robinson and Anderson have bowled unchanged throughout the morning. They've troubled all the batsmen. And now how are these two going to play? It's a beautiful day, there's no question of any rain coming or bad light or anything like that. Full day's cricket, and of course still a full day tomorrow, but India are 115 runs behind. 3 slips, gully's quite deep. Pant is on strike, and Robinson is on his way to bowl to him. Is there now, and he goes, it comes charging down, has a huge swipe, misses the ball altogether, and that's created some excitement. Might be people here a little bit surprised by Rishabh Pant's batting, perhaps haven't seen it before. Well, strap yourselves in. That could have gone anywhere. You could certainly have edged it. I could hear the Yorkshire folk say, whoa, I don't remember Geoffrey Boycott batting like that. And he'd be right. See what he's going to do to this one. 3 slips still there. Field hasn't changed. Robinson's on his way. He's there and he bowls, and Pant this time just comes forward and blocks it. Wow, deep, I don't know. We've seen this fella bat. Obviously, you've seen him bat a lot. He's batted a number of times, but he still can't help surprising you when he comes out and plays those sorts of shots.
And that makes him that much more exciting, isn't it?
Oh yes,
because you really don't know what's coming up next. But I've said this before. There is a method in his madness as well.
3 slips waiting there. Robinson rocks in and bowls, and that hits him on the pad, wandering across in front of his stumps. His defensive play is so nonchalant and easy, it's as if it's boring to him. He just plays such an easy defensive shot with no movement, but he just goes boom, plays it, and then walks off as if have I really got to do that again? I'd much rather have a go.
So every time he steps out, it just occurs to me that it's basically trying to get the bowler off that length. If he reckons that the bowler is bowling at this one length and line, and that's bothering him, more often than not you'll see him stepping out.
He's batting well out of his crease. Robinson over the wicket, bowls to Pant, leans forward again, plenty of time, plays an immaculate defensive stroke. Robinson's trying to engage him in a bit of eye contact there, but Pant's having nothing to do with it. It's turned his back on proceedings. And Robinson turns around and walks back towards us again. Heading is buzzing.
Every reason.
Yeah.
Every reason. What a start. Day 4 for England. Picking up Virat, Pujara, Ajinkya. 3 main batters in the middle order.
2:39 for 5. Yeah, 3 big wickets this morning, that first hour. Robinson bowls. That's edged and caught. The end of Pant for 1. He doesn't want to go, he's lingering, but that's caught 3rd slip. Another one goes down. And I mean, it could be done for lunch, this, because there's not much to come, as we know. And there's still almost an hour to go until lunch. Commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra. Wherever you're listening now, in other words, apart from Radio 4 Longwave, who'll be leaving us for the shipping forecast. Nicely taken catch. Overton there at 3rd slip.
Yeah, another disappointing dismissal. I really don't think he needed to play at it. And that to a defensive shot, again an angled outside, angled bat facing more towards 3rd man, a thickish outside edge, and as you mentioned, a good catch in the end in the slips. But yeah, if he has to tighten up his defensive game. There's no 2 ways about it. He can be as attacking as he wants to. He can still go on and play his shots. But at times, as you mentioned, it looks nonchalant, but he needs to tighten that up. His defensive game, his judgment of when to defend and when to leave outside off stump, because that's how he's got out more often than not in this series. Even at Lords, he got out edging one outside off stump, which he could have very easily would have left. Even here, the first innings as well, edging something where he could have easily, let go. So that's an area of his game that he really needs to tighten.
Well, Mohammad Shami's coming out. I feel sorry for Jadeja again, because he can bat, and all throughout this series he's been left with the bowlers. And what do you do? I mean, we know about what Shami did at Lords, but that was a freak. He got a first baller here, which is a bit more like it. But I mean, what does Jadeja do? He's got all but 2 days of cricket left. He's got the 6 wickets down, and he's already down amongst the bowlers. It's a really difficult position for him to be in.
Yeah, it's a really tough call. I guess he's going to still try and bat as normally as possible till wicket number 8 falls or something, and then maybe.
Shami's on a king pair, and Robinson's on his way. Bolstrom now is hit on the pad, the peel flag before wicket. They all want it. It's been given not out, and Shami walks away there towards square leg. They'll have a conference about whether or not they will review it, but it looked a bit high from here, didn't it, to be honest? So I think Shami's got off his king pair, his 2 golden ducks, but he's still on naught. And of course, as we know, there's Shami, Sharma, Bumrah and Siraj to come, with Jadeja stranded out there. But, he hasn't faced a ball yet himself.
Three wickets fell for 2 runs in the space of 12 balls in all this morning. 4 wickets for 24. Mentioned Jimmy Anderson's 400 wickets in England, and we've talked a lot about the improvement in over the course of his career, over the first few summers of his career up to the end of 2009. 104 wickets at 30.3 over the next 3 summers, 78 wickets at 24.2. Since 2013 in England, 218 wickets at an average of 20.9.
Curious case of Jimmy Anderson.
Yes. Now, what's Jadeja going to do? The field is set as normal at the moment, and Anderson's going to bowl to him as a leg slip, moves in, bowls to it, and Jadeja stands up and plays that back up the pitch again. Welcome back to the long wave listeners. He missed a couple of balls. Mohammad Shami has survived his king pair, but he's not off the mark. He was hit on the pad, actually. First ball, but was given not out. And we've now got Anderson bowling up at the other end to Ravi Jadeja, the last of the batsmen. And, England romping towards victory here, and a very emphatic one too. Anderson in the sunshine bowls. Jadeja plays a lovely stroke. That'll be 4. He's driven him just to the offside of straight. Very deliberately too. He won't much of a follow through. He just wants to absolutely get it out of the middle of the bat. Played it very nicely.
Very good looking shot. Extremely good looking shot. That's just again a reminder how good this surface is to bat on. Yes, the ball would do a bit off the surface every now and then, but yeah, you won't get a better batting surface than this, especially here in this part of the world.
Jadeja's over his bat again. Still that very fine leg slip. It's Rory Burns. Anderson moves in, bowls outside Jadeja's off stump, and he lets it go by.
It's interesting, got a leg slip as well.
That's a very fine one.
Yeah. You wonder if even the fine leg feel is quite fine. So I don't know whether he's trying obviously to kind of bowl straightish. You try and be a little on the shorter side and hit his rib cage.
They feel he gets across in front of his stumps a bit too. 243 for 6 is the score. Anderson from the far end bowls, and Jadeja, well, it's a slice drive. He'll get 4 for it. But that wasn't the nice controlled straight drive of a couple of balls before. That was a sliced cover drive which flew through gully.
Yeah, that's the sucker ball, isn't it? Full and wide, where you tempt the batter to go after it, which he did. But yeah, lucky there for Jadeja. Was in the air, but in the gap. The field set for that as well. The slip, and now Moeen Ali in point is coming a little more finer now. It's like backward point, almost like deep gully at this point in time.
3 slips waiting. A clap of the hands there from Root. And Anderson's on his way. And Jadeja ignores that one. And how many balls to go? There's 1 to go. Perhaps take a slip out and put him there in the offside, or try and block off a quick single here. What are Robinson's figures this morning, Andy?
3 for 18 from 6 overs, in all 4 for 58 from 24.
So that all that warming up helped then?
Yes. He certainly hasn't shown it. He did leave the field once, but he seems to be okay, doesn't he? Anderson bowls very wide outside the off stump. Jadeja ignores it. There's possibly deliberately out there to make sure that Shami will be on strike. And Robertson's peeling that sweater off. Can't wait to get into action. He's handing his cap away. And the two batsmen have a conversation. But, Shami played very well at Lord's. It was rather bizarre tactics that England employed against him there, but the fact is that England all over India in this match. It'll be very interesting to hear what Virat Kohli's viewpoint is of what's happened here over these last 4 days. We should get the chance to talk to him at the end. Shami on strike. Robertson's going to continue. The sun's still shining. The crowd really revving up. And Robinson on his way to bowl to the right hand is Shami. He's there and flicks him on the pad. Appeal for leg before wicket. Evan Parr gives that not out. It's going down the leg side maybe. But, Robinson's not really interested in that. The Root had a conversation. The DRS timer ticks away.
It looked close to me from here, because he walked right across Mohammad Shami with that front foot, even though it hit him on the inside half of the pad, but he walked right across.
Well, they've decided not to. Robinson thinking that's going down the leg side. On his way again. You can see the well-worn track now of his footprints as he runs in. Bowls. That hits him on the pad. That's going to be close. Up it goes. Shami's out. He's bagged a pair. He'll have a conversation with Jadeja about reviewing it. They do have 3 reviews at their disposal. Yeah, he's going to review it. But it's a reluctant sort of a review, really.
TV umpire to
conviction
director.
in
We have
that.
a player review for LBW. Original decision is out. It's a fair delivery. So can we have a look at front on spin vision, please?
Having a look at that, he plants his foot across.
Okay, it doesn't appear to be any bat involved. Rock that through. We've got clear daylight between bat and ball, so we can go to ball tracking when ready, please.
I think we're going to see 3 reds come up here. There's one of them. 2 of them.
Pitching.
Missing.
Impact in line. Pitching outside.
Wow.
Missing the wickets. Go back to Richard on field.
I thought Pujara's one was, if I'm honest, was a bit...
On screen.
That missing leg stump. Robinson can't believe it.
I thought at worst that would be umpire's call, but didn't think that's going to miss leg stump though.
Well, not sure what to say about that, but there's been a couple of interesting ones from this end this morning. That's all I will say. And it's gone both ways. I think India would have had it the other way if they could possibly have that. 2:47 for 6. Robinson's going to continue then, and he bowls to Shami, who comes forward and plays it up to mid-off. Yes, I think they'd rather have had Pujara's missing and Shami's hitting, but I don't know. It's, it's missing. It's missing by miles, according to that. Joe Root's got a smile on his face. They're all having a look at the replay of it. Robinson, shoulders rocking, moves in, bowls to Shami. He's away. He flicks that away from round about off stump. He's off the mark. He's off his pair. And he'll get 2 runs as Moeen sweeps round the deep square leg boundary. 249 for 6. So 105 runs away from making England bat again.
But yeah, Shami, I think this series, the last Test match especially, seems to show a little more confidence in his batting. He's not just going out there and swinging his bat around. He's just trying to play as orthodox fashion as possible.
2 balls left in the over. Robinson moves in, bowls to Shami. Now that's a good shot. Moving towards the off stump. He's flicked that away for 4 through mid-wicket. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Robinson, I think, just trying to hit the stumps there. So pitching it up straight. Nothing wrong with that. Nice stroke.
That's a good shot. But as you mentioned, I mean, the idea is to hit the pads again, try and be as straight as possible. Yeah, I get a fair amount of bat on that, Mohammad Shami.
Robinson. Over the wicket he goes, bowls to Shami down the leg side. He misses it, and that's taken by Buttler. So, an eventful over. One or two quizzical looks out there, I think, but there we go. The computer doesn't lie. 253 for 6, 101 behind. And Moeen's got his cap off. Is he coming on?
Yeah.
He is, from the far end.
Moeen's got his cap off. Jos Buttler's got his cap off as well. So he's going to put on his helmet and it's going to be Moeen.
It is. So he's going to bowl from that, from the far end then, and he's going to bowl to Jadeja at the left-hander. Some rough outside the off stump. See if he can make life awkward for the last remaining batsman. Helmets are delivered, one for Jos Buttler and also one for Hameed. He's going to be fielding close in, and Jadeja's already prodding around in that rough. Having a look at it, just looking at the edges there, it's a bit uneven. And so Root turning to spin with mid on and mid off, loitering near the boundary. They're not going all the way back, just going into the shadows of the stand. Moeen parts his hands, comes in round the wicket and bowls a bit of a tweak, and that's flicked away for 1. Down to long on and brings Shami down on strike. Now, how's Shami going to play this?
I was actually going to say, I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting how Shami is thinking of playing Moeen, because Moeen already has a long on and a deep mid-wicket for Mohammad Shami. He likes to have a go.
Well, I think he's got a bit of licence, really. They're 100 behind. He's not going to bat for the best part of 2 days, is he? So he might as well have a go, I think. See if it comes off. Moeen over the wicket, moves in, bowls to Shami. Oh, that's turned and bowled him. What a beautiful ball. Spinning sharply. Shami's out. It's 254 for 7. Excellent bowling change from Joe Root. I think predominantly he brought Moeen on to trouble Jadeja, but his first ball at the right hand has spun very sharply indeed. Shami's pad was in a sort of tail-ender's position, really, and it spun straight through the gate and rattled the off stump.
Brilliant. That was a good enough ball for any batter, to be honest. Pitching outside off stump, 7th stumpish, turning and getting through bat and pad and hitting top of off stump. I mean, that's a dream delivery for an off spinner. But Shami's got to go, and India still trailing by 100.
Yeah.
And have only 3 wickets.
Some more thoughts, and maybe from Andy as well, because I'm going to make room for Dan Norcross here.
Andy?
That's Moeen Ali's 193rd Test wicket, which brings him level with one of England's greatest spinners of all time, Jim Laker, who took 193 in 46 Tests, famously 19 in a single match at Old Trafford, the all-time record for first-class cricket, a series in which he took 46 wickets in 5 Tests. In terms of spinners, ahead of him for England, only Graham Swan, 255, and Derek Underwood with 297 Test wickets.
Makes you wonder how he wasn't selected at the start of the year.
True.
How he didn't play as many games in India on turning tracks. England's 3rd most prolific spinner. It's baffling, but No need to concern ourselves with that at the moment. Ishant Sharma has come to the crease with India in all sorts of bother. Those last 5 wickets, Andy, have gone for how many?
5 wickets for 39, the last 4 for 17 in a space of 4.3 overs.
Yep, it's been quite the procession today. I think a couple of batters will be having a long hard look at themselves, not least Ajinkya Rahane.
Yeah.
So here's Moeen with Ishant Sharma in his sights. He's in, forward in defence comes Sharma. There was a time when Ishant Sharma was a very doughty tail ender. He's got a batter at the other end to bat with in Jadeja, so he'll presumably play that propping forward role here. No silly pointing, leg slip, forward short leg, driven by Sharma. I say that, and he's just executed a lovely cover drive. We won't get 4 for it, but Robinson will haul it back. They'll come through for a couple. Ishant's underway, 255 for 7.
So with Ishant, he's good against spin. When I say good, relatively good against spin. His challenge has been against the seam bowlers and short pitch delivery. So I won't be surprised if Moeen is taken off and a seamer comes on to bowl, provided Ishant's on strike.
Moeen in, and Sharma defends into the ground. Butler picks up, there's no run. I suppose this is where England do lack a bit of pace. We've not seen them try the short ball very much. Overton might to him, I guess, with his height.
Yeah.
But Robinson's bowled a very long spell. I don't know if there's too many short balls in him. As Moeen is in again. That's right off the back foot into the onside where Hasib Hamid does the fielding. 256 for 7, Ishant 2, Jadeja 9. Profitable over for England, picking up the wicket as Shami. Moeen Ali 1 for 31. I was talking to Wasim Akram a couple of years ago, and we talked about the effort ball.
Yeah.
And in England we sort of imagine that a short ball's an effort ball. He said that for him, actually it was more effort to bowl the full ball, which I found fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, and I've heard that from quite a few bowlers as well. The fuller you bowl, it takes more out of you. So that's the reason a lot of people don't really like bowling Yorkers or fullish, and you actually won't find too many fast bowlers whose fuller ball is quicker than the back of length. So in world cricket right now, there'll be a handful of bowlers who are quick. I mean, Dale Steyn is a great example. I mean, his full ball was 145, 150 k's an hour, 90 plus miles an hour. I mean, very rarely you'll find Brett Lee, and you'll see all these great bowlers had that in them, the full ball to be the quick one.
Interesting. Robinson, 3 slips in, he's continuing to bowl. It's been a great spell so far. Jadeja defends, pushes into the offside. Hamid picks up at short extra cover, and there is no run. 256 for 7. Ishant has 2, Jadeja 9 from 8. What's Jadeja's plan here? Does he trust Ishant? Does he try and farm the strike? What does he do?
I mean, try and farm the strike, but he would have faith in Ishant and his ability to hang around, because as you've mentioned just now, that he has that ability, Ishant, to just hang around.
Here is Robinson running away from us, Kirkstall Lane end. Into Jadeja, and plays around his pad, works it into the onside, but straight to Malan, who's 5, 6, 7 maybe yards in front of square on the onside. And he's going a bit squarer.
It's been a lovely spell from Robinson, isn't it? He's been absolutely brilliant. Yeah, you mentioned about a few of the Indian batters would be disappointed, yes, but you can't take anything away from the spell that Robinson's bowling right now. He's been on the money.
He's so close to another LBW as well. He could easily have had 5 for by now. He's in now to Jadeja. Jadeja lets this go by outside the off stump, wasn't too far away. A tempter. So it tells us something about Jadeja's mind. Said he didn't just fling the bat at it. It was wide-ish and full, but he didn't feel the need to go after it. There's a lot of space in the offside. We've got a deep backward point, 3 slips, short extra mid-off. That's the offside field. Mid-on, a sort of square leg just in front of square and a long leg. So there's a lot of unpatrolled boundaries for Jadeja. Here comes Robinson. And Jadeja works this, tucks it nicely off the hip for a single. Down to long leg. 257 for 7. So 2 balls left in the over for Ishant to survive.
So the thing with Jadeja is obviously
he needs to score some runs as well, because end of the day he's playing as an all-rounder. And you know how memories can be so short-lived. You know, suddenly after a few games you're like, he hasn't scored a 40 or he hasn't scored a 50. But then you tend to forget that he didn't have enough support at the other end.
Well, exactly. He's not got a lot to work with here, has he? Robinson into Sharma. Sharma plays and misses. Has he always got an edge? Given! That is Robinson's 5th wicket. It's been a terrific performance from him this morning in this epic spell. He's picked up the 8th wicket. Ishant just prodding forward, getting a thin edge through to the keeper. Finger went up immediately. He's not referring it. He's walking off. And India are close to the brink here. They're 256 for 8.
But what a delivery again. Another fifer for Ollie Robinson. And what a start to international cricket. What a start to Test cricket for this youngster. He's been absolutely brilliant this morning. Again, that probing line outside off stump, too good for Ishant Sharma. But take a bow, Ollie Robinson. Absolutely brilliant.
Well, he's shown the ball to all quarters of the ground, and he deserves to. He's bowled really, really well throughout this Test match, throughout his Test career, really. I'm struggling to think of a bad day that Robinson has had. Andy?
Well, he's now up to 23 wickets in his first 4 Tests at an average of 17.6, and that is currently the joint most by an England seamer in the first 4 Tests of his career since Frank Tyson in the 1950s, who had 25 at 17.6. Fred Truman had 29 at 13.3, also in the 50s. Since then, Dominic Cork, he's tied with 23 wickets in his first 4 Tests at 22.4. There was one spinner, teammate of Jonathan Agnew, Nick Cook, who took an extraordinary 32 wickets in his first 4 Test, average 17.3. Left arm tweaker.
I remember him well.
The England record. But Robinson, 23 at 17.6 currently. Is the joint most by an England seamer in the last 60 years.
It's been a terrific start to his career. And the thing is, he's been doing it in county cricket for a while. Last few years, when you ever looked at the first-class bowling averages, you kept seeing Ollie Robinson's name. Incredibly low averages. He's starting in now. The new batter comes forward in defence. Does Bumrah. Plays up to mid-off, and there's no run. You imagine now, with Bumrah and Siraj, Jadeja doesn't have an option, does he?
He doesn't.
He's just got to go after it. 257 for 8, the end of the over. Robinson 5 for 65. He's bowled unchanged this morning. So this morning it's been an hour and 27 minutes he's been going at it. I mean, he's a strong man. He's got a big frame. We said yesterday, slightly reminiscent of Hazelwood. You can imagine him having fun on Australian pitches as well as English pitches. But it's his economy. The balls just seem to be in the same place time after time.
And when you look at him bowling, you know that he'll be successful across different conditions. He's not a English condition bowler. He can swing the ball, he can seam the ball.
And Moeen's got a left-hander to bowl to now. It's Jadeja who goes back into his crease and works it to short square leg. There's no run.
Yeah, he gets extra bounce. He's extremely smart in terms of using the crease. He uses the crease really well, going wide or gets close to the stump when required.
Moeen got to slip in a forward short leg. Jadeja comes forward, defends, and there's no run. There's a long on and a long off back and a sweeper. So the field has now changed massively to Jadeja in the anticipation that he's going to launch a counter-attack. But he doesn't look like he's going to do that off the first couple of balls. There's a little tweak to the field. Short legs coming out. Overton's coming in to second slip. Moeen into Jadeja. Jadeja props forward, defends back up the wicket. There's no run. I would have liked to see them bring mid-on, mid-off up and allow Jadeja to go after it, wouldn't you?
Fair point. I mean, India still trails by 97.
It's a lot of runs, isn't it? Here's Moeen. And Jadeja comes down the wicket, hit it firmly high in the air. It's going towards those 2 fielders and it's gone sailing over them for 6. That's more like it. He danced down the wicket, got to the pitch of the ball. Long on, long off were interested, but then they saw it sailing over their heads, and now they're going to go and look for the ball. This is marvellous. This is when international cricket becomes like club cricket on a Saturday, as the players are now, well, one of them is now searching around underneath the covers. It's gone past the air conditioning unit, it's gone under the cover, and now it has finally been retrieved. I've had to do that underneath many a hedge in Surrey and South London in my day. Anderson, of all people, is the man tasked with doing it.
What else from him? But he didn't actually time it that well. That one, he sliced it, but obviously shortish, straight boundaries, that helped him.
Right, Moeen into him again. What's he going to do this time? Well, he comes forward, works it into the onside, where there's loads of space, and I think, right, he's happy to give Bumrah 2 deliveries from Moeen. 264 for 8, Jadeja to 17. Yeah, I'm just trying to see where it landed. It landed about 6 or 7 yards beyond the boundary. It was in the air for a very, very long time. The boundary at the Emerald Stand end, opposite side of the ground to us. So Moeen is bringing someone in short on the offside. Bairstow.
Or get a helmet on Bairstow.
He's not doing a helmet. He's got leg slip, forward short leg, silly point. Bumrah comes forward and it sort of wraps into a bit of pad and bat. Well, actually, there was only 1 ball left in the over. Beg your pardon. So England probably missed a trick there, setting that deep field to the 5th ball of the over. End of the over, 264 for 8. Bumrah yet to score. Jadeja has 17. Deep Dustgupta is leaving us. Will be replaced shortly by Ebony Rainford Brent and his Zaltzman.
The morning figures so far: 17 overs, 6 wickets, just 49 runs. Robinson spell today so far, 4 for 25 in 8.
Well, he's coming off now. Overton's coming on, as is ERB.
Hello.
Hello.
What a morning of Test cricket. I have to say, with the batting conditions, the sun, I thought India might dig in a little bit. And for a little while they looked like they were putting up a bit of resistance, but then once the door opened, that consistency from Jimmy and also Robinson has been excellent. I think Overton with a bit of extra bounce here might be quite a good option.
It's from our end, Kirkstall Lane end. He bowled mostly from the far end, didn't he, in the first innings. But I think Moeen wants that end. So Overton's got 3 slips in and a tightly packed field in the offside and onside. Jadeja lets us go by, first delivery through to Butler, and there's no run. It's so crazy. There was a man we were hearing about today coming for his first day of Test cricket, 28-year-old man, coming with friends. Loves the nuances of the game. You know, one of those nuances is cloud cover and pitches, and the bowlers, how tired they are. And there's a sunny day, and we walked to the ground. The first time we've felt warmth since we've been in Leeds.
Nice.
Felt batting day. So if you're listening, don't listen to us for the nuance, because we thought it was going to be good for batting. Overton is in, wide outside the off stump, left alone, no run. Whereas yesterday, with the oppressive cloud cover, more difficult seeing conditions, the light, England barely get a wicket. It's a crazy game, cricket.
Yeah, that new ball was always going to give just a little bit extra, a bit more pace, a little bit fraction more movement. It wasn't huge though, was it? It wasn't swinging around trees.
Is it that though that's the most difficult? Because very good players, as Overton comes in and Jadeja defends into the offside where it's fielded by Curran at mid-off. Very good players tend to be able to, play a straight ball. If it deviates just a little bit, you get in the edge. If you swing it too much, we saw times from Anderson, sometimes hooping too much. And you can't really control that, can you?
What, the swing?
Yeah. I mean, how do you say, right, I'm going to swing this ball a bit less?
It's more about the line you start. You work out how much it's moving.
Overton into Jadeja, who drives firmly for 4 through mid-off. Lovely shot. No more than a push drive, really. And it beat Curran to his left at mid-off and ran away to the boundary. 268 for 8, Jadeja 21.
You'll fancy giving a few cheeky blows at the back end. A very accomplished batter. Just to push up the ground, but nice full blade. Clearly the game is gone, but a chance to keep himself in form next couple of tests.
You never say that at Headingley, Ebony. Although it does feel that the game has surely gone. Because there's always, you see, in
Trail
81.
by 86.
81 is the myth year, you see, because England trailed by 92, was it? As Overton is in. And that's cut away for 4 more. That deficit reduced to just 82. It was shortish and wide, and Jadeja played a beautiful back cut down to the deep backward point boundary, 272 for 8. They were 92 behind with only 3 wickets in hand. Botham and Dilly at the crease. Is Bumrah Dilly?
Yeah.
Is Jadeja Botham?
And how many did they add on? So they went from 92
ahead to... Well, they added over 100.
They were
92 behind. They added over 100, and then Old and Botham added 60-odd. A few runs between Botham and Willis.
And what do you know roughly? So the lead was
129 at the end. Here is Overton, dabbed away for 4 more. Hello. Jadeja's not given up. But what he has done by taking 4 off the last ball of the over is expose Bumrah to the first ball of Moeen's over. If indeed they go for Moeen, if they've got Bumrah on strike, might there be a temptation perhaps to bring on a quicker bowler? 272 for 8 at the end of the over. Jadeja picking up 3 fours that over from Overton. And he has 25.
Well, taking 12 out of a deficit is actually quite a good over, isn't it? A couple of those, and then all of a sudden,
yes, you see,
your Headingley 81 becomes.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Andy.
Rishabh Pant has had a frankly terrible game with the bat scores of 2 and 1, just 3 runs. For Indian wicketkeepers, the second worst test an Indian wicketkeeper's had with the bat since 2002. Counting games in which they've batted twice.
Wow, that's intriguing.
It's a shocker.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that there must be... Wow. So
Well, I don't understand it. Why doesn't he just get himself to 10? Because I think by the time he gets to 10, he's going to be seeing it like a...
Because he was charging, wasn't he, immediately?
Yeah, I just... Even if you charge, you don't have to go for the big swing. You can actually come down and have... You just see him and you think, get yourself to 10, you're in. Then you know...
So Moeen is going to continue. It's not going to be a quicker bowler. There is a silly point, forward short leg, leg slip. Here comes Moeen to Bumrah. And Bumrah goes for a wild sweep out to deep mid-wicket, and it's taken on the bounce by Curran. So he's got off the mark. He's got Jadeja on strike. The field will scatter. Is the fight back on? But there have been some curious fight backs here. There was Harath and Matthews, perhaps slightly aided by England's tactics. You remember in 2014? Where was
that? Here?
It was here. It was so frustrating. I actually did my tax return 6 months early because I couldn't bear to watch it anymore. I had it on the radio.
Of course. Yeah.
But witnessing it was too much. As Moeen is in to Jadeja, goes back into his crease and pushes into the offside. Doesn't want the single, so we could have a little bit of a phony war going on here for a while. There are 4 balls left in the over. Long on and long off a back. Sweeper on the offside. Hamid's quite deep at square leg, behind square. Jadeja goes back into his crease and cuts it away to the sweeper. Now they will take the single. So I don't quite know if they know what they're thinking they're doing here.
Quite a lot of balls here.
Because they've 3 balls, and Bumrah's intent in the first ball was to try and hoik it over deep mid-wicket.
This is where corridor cricket for lower order batters comes into play. One hand, one bounce. Because I played it the other day, and you forget how soft you have to play the ball dead, right under your feet. So he's got everything around him. I hope he's good at corridor cricket.
I like this idea.
Just dead bat.
That's elite training. Bumrah pushes back up the wicket, no run. I remember playing corridor cricket on a train coming back from a TMS game at Derby when the train got becalmed around in the Midlands somewhere, couldn't move for 2 hours. And in comes Moeen, and Bumrah just defends the offside, no run. So to pass the time, played cricket on the train.
Was it a one hand, one bounce game?
It was one hand, one bounce, all that, all the usual rules.
Yeah.
Mark Steele was with us. He was very competitive, as I recall. Bumrah gets a thick edge on this, and thinks about a run. No, you don't want the run, because then you'll be facing at the start of the next over, and he's sent back by Jadeja. End of the over, 278 for 8. Jadeja has 30, Bumrah has 1.
He's playing, to be fair, quite nicely, actually, Bumrah.
Well, he's had an epic series with the
Well,
bat.
he has,
When he first... How many runs did he got? sorry, just going to set Andy the task. At the start of the series, his average was about 2, and hasn't he not got his 2 highest scores in the last couple of Test matches?
Yes, before this series, he'd never made more than 10. I think that 10 was his only innings over 6 in his Test career. So I'll get the full glorious statistics up for you.
Yes, England have really battered him into form.
He had some fun, didn't he? That I think it's always fun because when you watch somebody who's a lower order bat giving it a go, I think it inspires the everyday cricketer to up your game. You see someone like you think, you know what, maybe this Sunday at my village game I'm going to do a Bumrah.
Yep. Overton is in with 3 slips to the left-handed Jadeja. Jadeja edges and gone! A wicket for Overton, and now India are on the brink. It was in the channel. Jadeja just trying to defend the off stump, got a thin edge through to Butler, who takes yet another catch. And India are now 9 down with just Siraj and Bumrah, and it is just a matter of time.
He gets such excellent bounce, doesn't he, Craig Overton? Hit the pitch hard. He just moved away off the surface, not much, just a hint, and then took a big, thick part of the outside edge.
It's a lovely bit of bowling, that, wasn't it?
The angle as well, coming around the wicket into the left-hander and then getting it to shape slightly away is lovely. We thought there might have been a potential Headingley. I thought he was looking positive. He was playing nicely. It was a good surface, but it wasn't to be for Jadeja.
Right. So it's going to be Mohammad Siraj who comes to the wicket. And it's been a disastrous morning for India. They've lost 7 wickets. I didn't see this coming. I know England had a new ball, but the conditions were good. India have batted so well yesterday. We know their potential, but it's not really been their tail that's fallen like a pack of cards. It's been their established batters who have played some brainless shots. There's been some brilliant bowling from Robinson. That was a terrific ball from Overton. He changed his angle, came round the wicket. He'd been hit for 3 fours in his previous over. Comes round the wicket, just gets it in that perfect place, forces Jadeja to play. But Rahane will look at himself, I think. I mean, Pujar will be wondering, why did I leave a straight ball? There'll be a lot of frustration in the Indian camp today. Andy?
We talked a lot about India's recent batting form, particularly their numbers 3, 4 and 5, Pujoli. That's
Pujoli?
It's like Brangelina. Pujara. Rahane. They've not made 400 in their last 14 tests since the start of 2020. 27 innings without making 400, assuming these two do not add 122. Over the previous 5 years, in 89 innings, they had 26 scores over 400, including 15 over 500. And
here is Overton, though. Into the new batter, Siraj. Down the leg side, flicked at, missed.
In these last 14 tests, they've been bowled out for under 200 8 times, something that happened to them only 15 times in their previous 53 tests over those 5 years. So it's a fairly long-term problem with their batting.
It is, isn't it? And it's so surprising because you look at the wealth of talent they've got. You see it especially in white ball cricket. Can't quite understand it. Now there's a fly slip in, which is very interesting for the big mo from Siraj. Overton runs away from us. And that's edged and taken, and that is it. England have won this Test match by an innings and 76 runs. It has been a comprehensive performance from England. They level the series, 1 match apiece, and they have been all over India from the very start of the match when India were bowled out for just 78. England putting on over 400 in their first innings, and then it has been today a superb bowling display from Anderson, from Overton, and most especially from Ollie Robinson.